There's so many people who come in the comment section and tell me how slavery and how colonization was so terrible for Africa. That is why Africa finds itself in the situation that it is in today. If you know that you are very sensitive and touchy and you respect your feelings so much and you get affected so much, please don't watch this video, because what I'm going to say will probably offend you. Because the truth is, you have been told so much lies and you've been indoctrinated to be a victim and been told that you are a victim. Look what happened to our past. Look at what happened in our history, slavery, colonialism. But to be honest with you, so many of you who are young today, 25 and 30 years old, there's no way slavery affects you at all. How is it possible that you talk about slavery, especially those who are on the continent of Africa? You probably don't know anyone who was sold as a slave to anyone. There's no way. How is it possible that something that ended 7 decades ago can affect you, can have an impact on you? How is that possible? But you've been told all these lies by these leaders, by these revolutionary leaders, because it serves a purpose, because it hides them behind the facade that somebody else's fault that we are in the situation that we are in today. 7 decades after colonization has ended, 7 decades after so many countries have obtained independence, but you're still talking about colonialism. And you've been told wonderful history, everything began in Africa, life begins in Africa, mathematics started in Africa, this and that started in Africa. We used to be great. Before the colonizers came to the continent of Africa, we were a civilized civilization. It doesn't help anybody. That doesn't put food on your table. It makes you feel good, but it is in reality, the reality of Africa will not be changed by all those stories. A couple of thousand people, a couple of thousand British settlers or Dutch settlers or German settlers came to Africa, occupied you, and built a feasible, a functional state that 20 million of you cannot build. Can you explain the logic of that? Whose fault is it that 20 million of you, after you have chased them away, they are gone? When they were there, when they came to Africa, they settled the land and they built functional institutions, functional states. But after they have left, 20 million of you, 50 million of you cannot build a functional state. You still want to blame other people. If you've been colonized, you've been occupied, it means you have been dominated, and you've been conquered, and you've been defeated. And you still want to blame somebody else for your failures today? After 7 decades of you having independence, you're still talking about colonialism. You're still talking about slavery. Slavery affected me. How did it affect you? You are only 30 years old. You've been told nonsense, because it is sweet to externalize. It is easy to externalize responsibility. It's not my fault. It's their fault. It's that person's fault. That's what is full in our heads as black people. Or you fought for the land and you wanted the land. Now you got the land back. 3 years down the road, you can't feed yourself. You're waiting for US aid to come and help you with food because you're starving. Does it make any logic? I thought you wanted land, my friend. And when you got that land, you abandoned that land, ran to the cities, looking for security jobs, looking for jobs that pays you pennies. We thought you said you wanted land. You were fighting for the land. You got that land that you were crying for. Now you abandon that land. It becomes a bush. You go to Europe to work in a farm, in someone else's farm, but you left the land that you were fighting for. How does it make sense as a black person? Maybe you are a slave. Maybe you deserve to be enslaved. Maybe you were born to be a slave because you think like a slave, because you are a slave. What you are good at is complaining, is hating other people, is typing stupid comments on the internet. That's what you're good for. But once you get to Europe, now you know your human rights. You become the best. You understand the constitution of Europe, but in your own country, where you are running away from that dictator who's ruining your country, you never mentioned human rights. You didn't know about human rights, and you realize human rights as soon as you arrive in America. Now you know the Constitution of America. You have a right to access education. You have a right to access healthcare. But you didn't know about your human rights when you were in your own country, because we are cowards. because we are useless. That is the truth. Don't comment stupid comments in this in the comment section of this video. If you don't want to watch it, please don't watch, because the truth is you are a slave. You were born to be a slave, and you will die a slave. Nothing will ever change. You can stand on whatever mountain you want and complain and point fingers, talk about slavery, talk about colonialism, talk about neo-colonialism. You can have all the terms, all the fancy terms that you want, but you will die poor in Africa and as a slave, because you are a slave in your mind.